Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. We are on Radio Row, Super Bowl 54 coverage continuing on. All of it brought to you by Liberty Pure Solutions and keeping our water fresh around here. Jeff Chadiha is, I think I met you in Fort Lauderdale in an Oriole locker room at spring training. Is that possible, or am I nuts to think that at one point
It was possible. Yeah, I was doing Sports Illustrated stuff. We used to get to go out and do baseball spring training.
That's where I met you.
There you go.
Get a cheap vacation.
It's a good memory.
I met you up there. So what year would that have been? 97, 8, 9?
I want to say probably like 2000.
Okay.
I remember being in Jupiter, Florida at the Cardinals and then coming around. Yeah, I was bouncing around back in
Florida. I remember saying, who's that guy? I met you. I'm like, oh, man, I read your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
I was a younger man back then.
Well, and
we both were.
Well, look, and Luke went to J school at Syracuse, and I'm 30 years as a journalism person. You're a writer. I've written books. You write. The journalism side of this thing has changed dramatically, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It has. I was just thinking about just Radio Row, what it used to be back in the day, and what it used to be coming here when the Super Bowl was a convention. And so when you came here, you were seeing all the guys who were your friends, but you all got to see the luminaries. You got to see the Michael Wilbons and the Tony Kornheisers walking around, the Bill Rhodens, all these guys, and it's kind of shrunk a little bit. And it's shrunk because, one, there's more podcasting, there's more bloggers, there's a lot of different people who were journalists. The definition of it's changed. But it's also kind of the business has changed a lot financially. And we both know that too, right? It's like you don't see as many people. So sometimes when I come here, I feel like it's still exciting to be at the Super Bowl. But I also feel a little bit like melancholy because I don't see this.
It's not the way it used to be.
Not the way it used to be.
It's get off my lawn. That's what happens when we're all over 30 like we are. At this point.
Is that what it is? Over 30?
I think that's what it is.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay.
I'm 51.
We're in the same boat then.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm 51.
You're 51?
I'm 51, man.
I'm 49.
I've been doing this a little while.
Climbing.
Like the 49ers, huh?
Remember when 50, when you were a kid, 50 felt like it was a lifetime away?
I remember when 30, I remember when my mother, I was talking to her about this the other day. When she turned 30, I thought, my mom's old.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I'm way older than that. It's crazy.
And then you realize, my parents didn't know anything when
right.
They just faked it.
But in other ways, they were way smarter than you gave them credit for.
That's true.
Well, this is my 27th Super Bowl.
Wow.
We were 14-2 this year.
Yeah.
I flew down here 3 weeks ago and stayed at one of your colleagues, Brian Baldinger's palatial estate up in Fort Lauderdale. And I went up and down from West Palm, where Jupiter, where you were covering spring training down here. We thought we were going to be here, right? I mean, I think a lot of people in football, I couldn't find anybody that didn't think the Ravens were going to win the Super Bowl, let's say around Christmas time, right?
I thought that. In fact, I had a bet going. I live in Kansas City, and I had a bet going with the local radio guys about who was going to win a Super Bowl first, Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. And back in November, we made the bet, and I'm feeling good. I'm Lamar Jackson because Baltimore's winning this year.
Yeah.
And so I saw him the other day, and he was just saying, I'm the guy who knows how to pick the right team and the right quarterback. I said, yeah, I took a flyer on a team that was 14-2 and number one offense, MVP quarterback, just running through all these teams. It was just on a limb picking the Baltimore Ravens to win it all. I was shocked. Look, when I go back to watching that Tennessee Titans loss, just watching the game, that was the first game I'd watched Lamar play where I felt like he was trying to be the MVP. Where he felt like he really had to do more.
I agree with that. We'll all agree with that.
And as much as I've watched the Chiefs play with Mahomes, one thing I never understood about this, and you guys live there, so you probably can understand it better. I see Andy Reid talk to Patrick Mahomes after every series. In that game, every time Lamar Jackson went to the bench, throwing his hat down, sitting there, just really frustrated. I'm thinking, why didn't someone talk to the guy?
Yeah.
Why didn't someone settle him down and say, look, it's okay. It's the playoff game. It's the way it is. It's going to be fine. He just got more and more amped up, and I think that was a big issue in that game.
Just in general, it felt like they were in a fog. I mean, Lamar didn't play his best game. It certainly wasn't what happened against the Chargers in the playoff game a year ago. It was more across the board. I mean, they turned the ball over. Defense gave up their fourth highest rushing total in franchise history. I mean, it was a team loss, but fair or unfair, it does begin with the quarterback, especially when talking about a guy who's going to be getting the MVP.
I thought the most seminal moment in that game was when they had the 4th and 1 or 4th and inches early in the third quarter at the Titans' 18-yard line. And, okay, they've been great 4th down going for it all year long. I get it. But in that moment, 14-6 ball game, if you kick a field goal, your quarterback can come back. You can tell him it's a one-score game.
Yeah.
We're going to play defense. We're going to play special teams. This team is not going to run away from us right now the way they play football. So let's settle down, get back into what we do. And I thought when they didn't get that, and the way it played out with him trying to run around and sneak it through 3 different holes, that was the end for me.
Well, fourth down sexy when you go for it, never rah, rah, rah. Then when you don't make it, you just fumbled it, literally.
Yeah.
And that's hard to overcome.
Yeah, and those are playoff moments. And I watched the Chiefs go through that with the Texans the next day.
Sure.
Where all of a sudden you're up 24-0 and you want to throw a fake punt in there and you want to lose a kickoff, and suddenly you feel it coming. And so much of the playoffs, this game is going to be another example of that, is creating momentum and stifling it. And you have to get it back when you're losing it, and you have to create it when it's not there. And I just felt like that team, for the first time, especially Lamar, felt like they had to do more. They had to be more than what they were to win.
3 weeks later, we've taken all the purple lights down, and the in your town, the
I don't know what
Kansas City
that is.
Chiefs. It's a planter. It's just a little planter.
Okay.
No, that's not cannabis, although it's been accused of that all week.
Lots of people have
That was my first impression.
Yeah.
It's sporticulture. They just sell these.
They do a great job
Curio
with it.
does this, but that's another story altogether. For Kansas City, 50 years coming. I love Kansas City. He'll tell you that. We went out for the Royals and the Orioles a couple years ago.
The barbecue was the only good thing about that trip, by the way.
I'm a Jack Stack.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the
2014
playoffs,
AL.
I'm a Jack
Yes,
Stack guy.
yeah.
But it feels like we played a lot of games out there. We played playoff games out there. We played out there last year, played out there this year. I'm happy for everybody I know in Kansas City. I mean, despite the Royals parade and how expansive that was and how fleeting that was, right? Like, that happened, and now it's like, who goes to Royals games anywhere? He's wearing more blue than Kansas City's wearing this week, right? I mean, but the Chiefs have always been sort of number one there, right?
They have been, and I've been there for about 15 years, and it's funny you talk about the Royals, because it used to be, if the Royals just get back to the World Series, we'll be set forever, and 3 years later, nobody cared about them. And this team, it used to be, if we could just win a playoff game, if we just win a home playoff game, if we just win the AFC title, if we just had a quarterback, and now it's like, we're going to win 5 Super Bowls in the next 10 years, and that's how they see it.
We better win one on Sunday.
Exactly,
first.
win one first. But it's been fun to watch, and there's been I think there was a lot more relief than there was just excitement after that AFC Championship game, because I think they felt like the way last year went, that they were the team of destiny then, the way the offense blew up and what Mahomes did, and when it didn't happen against the Patriots, and you saw how Tom Brady beat them in overtime, I think there was a sense of, like, we don't want to be one of those teams that, like what New Orleans is right now, where all of a sudden bad things keep happening in the playoffs, and you're supposed to be the best team, but you just can't get there. And so I think getting over that hump, having the defense get better, having Andy get back here, Mahomes being what he is and the age he is, I think all that stuff factors into the excitement they feel right now.
Everybody digs Andy, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
except for
certainly
John Dorsey. I don't think John Dorsey's a huge fan right now.
Well, from a Baltimore perspective, you know, everything Harbaugh is,
Fair,
and the whole Philadelphia thing. We've had some Philadelphia, Jaworski people came by this week that it was sort of, it never happened for him. You've covered the league a long time. He's done a lot of things except win this one.
He has, and I really give him a ton of credit for the people he's hired. I mean, I can't tell you how many ex-coaches, you mentioned John Harbaugh, I think of Ron Rivera, I think of Doug Peterson and Matt Nagy. The guys on the staff right now.
Pat Spags, good down the list, sure.
These guys are all.
Dave Tope should have been a coach a long time ago.
These guys are all really nice guys, really good people to deal with, good people skills wherever they go. They're good leaders. You see how they handle you see how John Harbaugh is. I can't think of. He's had so many different kinds of personalities come through there, and he's always found a way to manage that. And I even think what Harbaugh's done with this team this year, in terms of the way they decided to play and going all in and supporting the quarterback. So a lot of stuff comes from Andy. A lot of that stuff comes from how Andy handles people. And we certainly know he took a chance on Michael Vick back in the day. He stuck by Travis Kelce. He stuck by Tyreek Hill. There's guys on this team have had major issues in life, and he's always been able to stick by them. So I think that also helps enhance his reputation as he's gone forward.
It strikes me as funny, talking about the 49ers. I mean, they had such a great season. I mean, they were right there, either number one in the NFC or right 2 or 3 the entire year. But I think we kind of forget they were 4-12 last year. And, I mean, Garoppolo, the injury, and Shanahan and John Lynch and everything they've done, it feels like we always think of something that builds gradually, year by year. But they're 4-12 and they're in the Super Bowl. I think it's a really fun story and maybe one that hasn't gotten as much attention as it should.
Yeah, West Coast bias. That seems to be the issue. I think a lot of people haven't seen them play outside of the West Coast as much as maybe you or I have, or Nestor, because they have been the best team in the NFC all year long, and they have played some tremendous game. I watched that Saints Niners game.
Phenomenal.
That was a phenomenal game.
When
The
they
game
came-
against Baltimore.
I was going to
It's a
say,
great game.
I mean, people were saying in early December, hey, Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, and you watch them, and I know John Lynch being there and the way what he believes. He believes in defense, and he believes in the trenches. And I believe that's why I was also high on the Ravens, because as much as I like Kansas City and what they do and how fun they are to watch, I still believe you win championships with running games and run defense and hitting people and being physical. Like this time of year, there's a reason why I think whatever the stat was as far as great defenses playing great offenses, it's like 15-5. Like defenses often beat the great offenses here. And people always ask me this question about who I like, and I always say, you know what? I fell in love with the 2007 Patriots. I fell in love with the 2013 Broncos. I fell in love with the 2001 Rams and the Raiders and 2002. All these teams that were just setting all these records. The 98 Vikings.
2019 Ravens.
2019 Ravens.
Well, the 98 Vikings and the 2000 Ravens didn't even bother to get there,
some
right?
teams
Like,
don't even get there.
Don't get there. And it always comes back to we've gone a century deciding championships by teams being more physical, and that's what I love about that Niners team, is that they're just so physical and they believe in, And I know it's a new age and analytics are big and people talk about throwing the football and all this stuff. Football's still about hitting somebody in the mouth. It's still about intimidation. It's still about being physical, and the teams that do that are the ones that impress me the most.
Jeffri Chadiha, we've now learned how to pronounce his name after 20 years. I swear I'm going to get it wrong next time. Just please back me around. But I do appreciate you coming by.
Hey.
He's on NFL Network. You can follow him out on Twitter as well as at NFL Game Day Morning. The NFL, it says you provide 8.5 hours of pregame. You got 8.5 years of pregame coverage.
Is that what it is?
And I mean, come
God.
on. It says
That's
live
biggest
pregame
slaughter
coverage
than
starts
that.
at 9
You're
a.m.
doing all of that, right?
No. I'm laying low. I cut my TV off like the last 2 weeks of the season.
There you
It's
go.
like this is the last radio thing I might do. I'm going to just lay
I've
low and
lost
watch
my
the
voice.
game.
I'm done. I'm dropping the mic. That's
Yeah,
it. Good to
yeah.
see you, man.
Same here, guys.
Thanks for
a
coming
lot.
by.
Same here.
Luke is here. I am here. We're on Radio Row. It's all of our coverage brought to you by our friends at Liberty Pure and A Clean Water, as well as our friends at RaskinGlobal.com. Luke, I need a break.
Well, you're going to get one.
We are WNST.net, AM 1570, WNST Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore sports.